Oh, and I forgot. God, in Genesis, He also said, I want you to torture, slaughter, and then eat the carcasses of the other creatures I made. In fact, run around the earth and make as much destruction and pain as you can. No, He didn't. The reason we're doing it is because of the way we eat. There are studies of prisons in maximum security. I worked at a maximum security and a medium security prison, so I kind of know what it was like. I was in Hawaii, and the first day I was going up to maximum, I worked usually in the medium, and that was freaky enough because the only difference between the guards and the inmates was the color of the uniform. Otherwise, they were the same. But so we're going up to maximum security one day, and the two guards that were escorting me said, "Now, when you examine these patients, they're going to be shackled." I said, "Nah, how can I examine them? You know, it's a doctor-patient thing. You know, I mean." And he goes, "Well, this first guy you're going to see is from Waianae." And, you know, and he said what he did was the reason he's here is he had saw a haole. Now, haole is a white person. It really means not of the spirit. It's the original meaning. But it's a white person. And he went up to him, pulled his head off of his body, and threw it onto the front of a car. Keep him shackled. Keep the handcuffs. But anyway, interesting thing about this is that in these studies, they've taken the inmates, these violent inmates, off of cooked starches and animal products. The incidence of violence goes from 100%, because they fight all the time, to 5%, 3%. They put them back on the food, it goes back up.
Wow.
These are scientific, you can read these studies. I don't know if you've ever seen Doris Wrap. Anybody heard of Dr. Doris Wrap? She's really a very, really a fantastic person. She is the pediatrician of all pediatricians. You know, she talked about vaccinations and all that stuff long before. She just, like everybody else on the planet, doesn't get it about food. But she does know about sugar and things like that. So she's got a video where she shows they have a kid, and she says that we're allergic to sugar. We're allergic to these things. And so the kid's playing around, they give them a sweet or something, and then you watch them, and they freak. Yeah. And we have to understand that we are biochemical. We are have you ever took chemistry, you put something in here, that turns blue. We're biochemical. You can't just stick anything in here. Okay, so, now, I want to ask you a question. If you have cancer, your goal is to not only not have cancer, but to be restored to health, right? That's the goal. So here you are. Let's take this as an analogy. You're on this building, it's on fire, you have to get to this building. Okay? You're on the roof. Are you going to jump 80% of the way? How about 99% of the way? Why? Why not? Okay, so that's it. If you're going to jump 80% of the way, okay, there's a fundamental law of the physical universe. And that fundamental law is cause and effect. Of course, that's debatable too, especially if you talk to Alan Watts, but let's assume it's true. Let's assume that when that billiard ball hits that other ball at a certain angle, let's assume that's happening. Anyway, and it seems that way. If we have any belief in the story of creation, and God said, "Let there be light," so it's done. Okay. So everything precedes it. So if cause and effect is true, you have to understand, and I think there was somebody else came along at one point and said, "As you sow, so shall you reap." He's got hanging out in Israel. There was another guy hanging out in India, and he said, "Just as the cart follows the ox, so does evil follow the evildoer." So it doesn't matter where, if you look at whatever religion, okay, so that's it. So So if you're going to put 80%, if you've come to the conclusion that you're going to do 80%, you cannot expect anything more than 80%. Just can't. And God, nature are totally non-negotiable. Can't talk about it. There are no miracles. There's only law, natural law. What we call a miracle is just adherence to natural law. Okay? So, the reason that I'm saying to people, you can go 20% cooked is because I've learned over time that people go to it anyway. So if you're going to go to it, let's make sure that what that 20% is not that bad. And remember, there is no good food, even raw. Food is less bad. Maybe mother's milk and maybe melons are close to, but all other food has detrimental in several ways. And it turns out, just to give you real quick for another lecture, it turns out that the shape of our, the molecule that holds the iron that carries the oxygen around is called hemoglobin. It's made from, the biochemical structure is a porphyrin ring with iron in the center, the exact same biochemical structure as chlorophyll. Chlorophyll has magnesium in the middle. And what is the structure of this porphyrin ring? It's alternating double bonds. What does that mean? That means it's photoreceptive. Light hits it, that energy is captured and utilized. So why in the heck is that in our blood? It might be because we can probably derive energy from light. I mean, we have a photoreceptive molecule carrying around, our hemoglobin, oxygen. So anyway, so that's why I say we might not really have to eat, but we'd have to be far more evolved than we are now. And I don't mean evolve. I don't mean in evolution. I mean evolve from our decline. And guess what? Guess what? If I forget the statistic. For those of you who have some ecological sense and all that sort of thing, what is it? It's like 7 acres of land is required, something like that, to feed the normal American in a month, every year. 7 acres to grow the food, the animals. Yeah, 1 person. I forget the number. 7, I think it's 7 or 8. I don't think it's as low as 6. But anyway, it takes an acre and I think about 1.2 acres for a vegetarian. And for a vegan, it takes somewhere about 6.6 of an acre. So we're not running out. We run out of land now. We're not running out of land. This planet could easily handle all the people. And guess what? If tomorrow the world ate nothing but live, living, vegan food, there would be no more war, there would be no more waste, there would be no more anything. We would be, that's how incredible, and just think about it. Just think about it. There would be no more. So it's really important. So anyway, I know you all can't help it. You've been having your tongue masturbated since you were born. Every time you cried, someone stuck it in your mouth. And I don't want to quit. I want my, whatever it is. And that's okay. But just understand the law of consequence is the law of consequence. Right now, it's showtime. Your bodies need 100% organic, which means non-poisoned, living food. And you need to fast periodically. And I want you to realize that, and you don't, I've tried to get you to read, not everybody reads, it's a blessing. It's a blessing. I've been struggling with this since I was 16. I love it when my destiny allows me to fast. When I'm fasting, I'm like, and by the way, after, I don't remember if it's, I think it's about 6 months of 100% raw. you enter into a state of consciousness and a state of being that is similar to the way you get on a 3 or 4 week fast. Which is, we know that the universe, that everything physical, every physical phenomenon, when you get down to it, is a waveform. Sound is waves. Light is waves. If we were to look, molecules are, everything has, and out of those waves, right, it's generating stuff, right? Our body, that which animates our flesh, is what we call electricity, or we call chi, or we call ki, or we call prana, whatever we want to call it, the breath of God. That's what animates our flesh. Now, why was I talking about that?
6 months of 100% raw.